1. Bazur's Plot. Chapter 2 and 3. Chapter 2. Celebration in the Clearing. Everything smelled so fresh, like freshly dried laundry outside or fields of flowers in the countryside. We walked deeper into the forest. This was clearly not a normal forest. There were huge mushrooms among the trees, growing halfway up to the trees. The mushrooms were so beautiful in vibrant colors and shining light around like a street lamp. The underside of the mushroom was lit and helped to see around. I followed Dora's shining figure in front of me. Behind me, I heard fast clickety-clock steps of Tico. The trees were getting bigger around me, and there were no more light coming from the sky. The only light were those mushrooms and Dora in front of me. I realized these mushrooms would only lit up when we were arriving into the area, and once we were past, the lights in the mushrooms dimmed again, and the forest looked pitch black behind us. I felt surprisingly happy considering that I was in the middle of some random forest that looked straight out of imagination, with my living dog and dead dog that were clearly not dogs in here in Myria. I felt that laughter was starting to build up in me. I, uh, I noticed something glimmering between the trees in front of us. There must be some sort of clearing ahead of us. New smell. I don't know what kind of smell it was. It, I could not tell if it was some flower, something to eat, or what. The smell was good for sure, but what was that? Before I realized, we arrived at the clearing. Everywhere was tree stumps, and all types of creatures were sitting on them, or standing behind them, or talking to each other, or sipping some kind of liquid. When we arrived, all fell silent. That was intimidating silence. I started to be afraid. I was not supposed to be here. An old elf-like creature parted others and approached me. I just now noticed that Dora and Tico had left me standing alone and joined some other creatures. I looked after them. The elf character spoke. So, you decided finally to come. We have been asking you for a long time now. He had a raspy, low voice, so low that I instantly got goosebumps. I stammered, "Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean." Elf smiled. "Don't be afraid. You you did not follow your intuition, did you? Did you not feel the pull in the scenery earlier?" I nodded. Yes, I did," he replied. "Well, then you did ignore our call." I felt so horrible. "I'm so sorry." Elf shook his head and said, "Well, you're here now. You can call me Elderberg. My real name is too hard for you to say, so this is fine. Come, we need your help, and I assume you have some questions for us." I followed Elderberg into the middle of a clearing. I noticed the stumps were in the shape of a large round circle, like there would have been a large invisible table in the middle. Everyone fell silent again when Elderberg and I arrived at the circle. I looked around, and there were so many creatures, looking from animals to half animals to more human-like. Funny thought rose in my mind that I actually like the non-human ones more to look at. They were all seemed to look Elderberg expectantly. The clearing did not seem big when we were walking to it, but now, looking around, it fit so many creatures. I looked around. I looked around of us, and I noticed that it was a lovely warm night overall. I could see bright stars in the middle of the midnight blue sky, and a big full moon. It seemed the moon was bigger and lower here, wherever Myria is. Friends, started Elderberg to speak, and everyone was looking at him expectantly. Thank you for coming tonight, on the first night of the Moon Goddess celebration. I know it was a concern to come during these trying times. I felt puzzled, and I noticed many creatures were not looking happy, but had very serious look on their faces. It is more important than usual to gather and celebrate our festivals together, since that serves many purposes. It helps us to communicate. It helps us mentally and emotionally to support each other. It helps us to gather our forces to change the future for our Myria to be full of love and laughter again. A small half-sized elf creature stepped forward so everyone could see him. Elderberg, do elders have a plan how to do that? With a trembling voice, he continued. See, I lost my wife last night to that thing. She is now a stone by the river. He caught her when she was trying to cross the river coming home from the market. I am afraid I will never see her again. Mumbling with similar concerns and low-tone comments came from all around. It seemed that many had lost relative or loved one for that thing, whatever that thing was. Elderberg raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent. We have no good plan yet on how to conquer him, since we do not know how to undo the magic. The magic he has used to curse our loved ones to stones and other unliving things. But we have formed a plan on how to figure it out, and we do need your help for some tasks. Elderberg turned to me and continued, that goes to you as well, Sarah. We need your help to conquer evil wizard Bazur. I felt all eyes on me. I blushed and I said, I have no idea what the situation is about, but if there is anything I can do, I will surely do that. I have been on this place only a few moments, but I already love it here so much, and I'm happy to help, I replied. Crowd looked from me to Elderberg and waited. Elderberg said, it is now time to start festivities. And we come back to this topic when morning sun meets us. I will explain the situation to you now, Sarah, looking at me. Chapter 3. Who is Bazur? Elderberg guided me to the side of the clearing, and we picked up a drink. It looked like a fountain formed of leaves under each other, and the golden liquid flowed from one leaf to a below one, ending up to a big leaf at the bottom. It looked beautiful and smelled sweet and fruity. There were small leaves beside the fountain that were picked up by guests. I followed their example and filled my leafy cup with the liquid. It tasted nothing like I have ever tasted anything. It was so cool, refreshing, but so full of sweet taste and fruits at the same time. I wonder what it is. It is the best drink I have ever tasted. I followed Elderberg and sat down on one of the stumps that was earlier used as chairs. Used as chairs for other smaller creatures to stand on. Two more old-looking creatures joined us to the side. One of them looked like old tree stump himself. I barely made out where his eyes and mouth were out of the old beard moss that was covering everything. He looked at me and said, "My name is Stump." That was a suitable name, and I would not forget that for sure, I thought to myself, but aloud I said, very politely, I'm happy to meet you. The other creature was clearly a woman. She was so beautiful, with white shining hair flowing down on her back. She was very short and stumpy too, but her features were petite and her smile was just making me feel instantly loved. I don't know what she really is. I mean, like a creature. She looked a lot like human, but there were a lot of features making her supernatural. Before I could have more thoughts on that, she said, You can call me Lana. Stump and Lana sat down close to us, and Elderberg started to speak. Well, you need to be told the story of Bazur Wizard in order to know what we are asking of you. Well, at least what we know of him. Myria has always been a place of love and laughter. We are ruled by a white goddess who lives in the palace down in the next forest from here. The area of Myria is actually 7 rivers and 7 woods surrounded by seas. The woods we are now in, this is called Third Woods, and we have the celebrations here. Normally the clearing is bigger, but it is trying times, so not all dare to show up. The clearing is magically expanding itself when we have more creatures coming in. Also, Bazur has gotten many of us, so they are now in the non-living state. Elderberg looked really, really old when he said that. I leaned forward to hear more and he continued. There is always good and bad existing in everything. We have a lot of magic powers within our creatures, and it's sometimes that there is one that is born who wants to rule and have more power than we are given in this goddess-ruled territory. As creatures of Myria selected goddess to lead us, she has set up the territory centuries ago so that all are free to be and live how they want. There are very few rules. One of them is that love and laughter are possible when there is a respect for others. If creatures are living close by, there must be respect for each other. If there is a disagreement, creatures can go to the goddess to ask advice to solve the challenge or challenges. There are some instances that creatures like the creatures of the woods, like Stump here, are having challenges living next to river cracks who tend to flood ground all the time. Then Goddess helps to solve the challenges. Peace has existed among us, very different creatures for centuries. Obviously, there has always been creatures worshipping darker energies and creating trouble, but those have been usually manageable, and many times just distancing from them helps. Myria has a lot of grounds, so there is no need to try to exist exactly right next to one creature like that. Bazur Wizard has now learned something that is causing a real threat to our peace. We don't know where he has learned these new skills, since he used to be just a wizard with some magic skills. Now, these are extraordinary skills, and I should say curses, that he has lately performed that have become a problem. Basur has always wanted more power and to rule everything. He has always tried to create trouble for Myria and for White Goddess, and now he has a new attempt to run down um, White Goddess from the power of Myria. Obviously, us living in the territory do not want that. Bazur worships evil and he loves when others fear him. I looked at Lana and Stump and they were nodding but silent and letting Elderberg continue the story. A couple years ago, this new era started, for our knowledge. Bazur's cottage at the end of the sixth wood was having bizarre noises and smokes, more than usual. Obviously, not many of us approach that area, but more avoid going anywhere near there. We had some teenagers who wanted to know what he was up to, and we never heard from them again. That is now close to 2 years ago. We fear they are dead, but we do not know for sure. However, we saw that what he did for some creatures in the southern woods beach. We have an eyewitness who managed to hide themselves. They have been magically changed from creatures to non-living things, trees, stones, or such. These things are just normal objects, and we don't know, for example, if that tree is now a tree or cursed Myria creature. We don't know if there is a way to return them to a being. We don't know if they are alive. We don't know if they are aware what is happening to them, or are they in a coma or dead. We don't know how to reverse the magic. It's human magic, and our magic does not work to undo it. White Goddess also does not know. She's not a witch, she's a goddess, and she does not know this kind of magic Bazur has now learned. All three looked very tired. Elderberg sighed and continued. First, Bazur clearly just tested his new powers around his cabin, but he has gotten stronger by in his new powers gradually and makes trips around Myria, forcing creatures to join his army. If you don't join him, you will get cursed to a non-living thing. So a lot of creatures are joining his troops out of fear, but they also must start to perform bad things. The army creatures are also cursed somehow. We think his target is to overpower White Goddess and run Myria as he pleases. There's nothing good in this scenario. Do you have questions so far? Elderberg looked at me. I looked at him and said, well, I gather there's a Bazur, an evil wizard who turns the creatures here to non-living things like stones, and there's no knowledge how to return them into living things. Is that so? Elderberg looked at me and said, yes, we have lost a lot of creatures, our loved ones. The creatures of Myria for this reason during the last 2 years. Many of the creatures are not magical and have less magic than him, so they don't have means to fight him. Also, many of our creatures do not want to join him either, and that has caused many of them cursed to stones. We hope we can figure out how to reverse the magic. Elderberg stopped. I asked, you said earlier you have a plan trying to find out how things could be reversed, and you need my help. What is it? Elderberg looked at me inquisitively and said slowly, Bazur is human. We have few ideas how to conquer him, but we need a human to do the task. I look at him curiously. Okay, I can do it. But why can't some of you do the same? Elderberg answered. We have very few full humans here, living here, and Bazur is the one of the old tribe people who used to live here centuries ago, Myria. Bazur considers only human wizard valuable enough to speak to. He does collect an army of the creatures we have here, but he sees himself above us. Also, White Goddess, since her magic is different from his, Bazur sees himself as the highest being here, and that is why he wants to rule Myria. His magic seems to be also different, and we are not able to undo it. I looked at them stunned. Well, that's just rude. Elderberg smiled. I know how you are. That is why we kept calling you for you to help us. Tiko and Dora, helped to get you here. His words reminded me of them, and I looked around to find them among the crowd. The forest clearing was bigger than last time I looked around. It was packed with all kinds of creatures loving and laughing with each other. I could see the guards standing in the forest shadows looking into the forest. Elderberg noticed my gaze and said, "Yes, we have guards in place so that Myria beings who came now for the moon party can relax and have a moment of rest in this fear-filled time." I nodded. It was sad. I saw people laughing and hugging. I could not see Tiko Otora, so I turned my head back to Elderberg. "I have one more question. You know I came from, I don't know what to call home, an earth living maybe? So anyway, I came from here and I have other dogs in my family. They need to be taken care of while I'm here. Are they all right? I feel like I have been here already for hours for celebration." Elderberg smiled. "Good question. Yes, the time is different here in Myria. You do not need to worry about them. Your Earth life is going forward, but extremely slow. And besides, your family is already here in other place of Myria, safe and sound." I nodded. "Okay, what's the plan then? What do you want me to do?" Elderberg smiled and turned to Lana and Stump. "It's time to ask the guides here."